It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Oh, yesterday was Wow Wednesday, everybody. And we got to talking with our girlfriend Vivian and her socially conscious segment. And she talked about that 80-year-old man who lost his life after the fire in the building in Elmhurst. Now, here's one of the problems, one of the main problems. When the FDNY arrived to take care of that blaze, they met with critical problems because someone had blocked the fire hydrant. Yes, they had parked in front of the fire hydrant. Well, to add insult to injury, when they went to the next available closest fire hydrant, that one was frozen. Oh my goodness gracious. We have to be very careful about our parking practices because we definitely don't want to be in the line of fire when they start issuing out those tickets. Now, Vivian told us that it's $150 if they catch you parking in front of a fire hydrant. But if there's something that happens that you are preventing them from accessing that fire hydrant in the case of an emergency, your fine can be in between $2,500 to $4,000. So let's make sure we are nowhere near those numbers. Well, New York City Mayor Mamdani has issued a warning. Either they're allowed to tax the rich, or he's going to hand those property taxes down to the middle class people and those of us who own homes, those landlords, and we live in those buildings that those landlords own. When the property tax hits, you are going to be the one that pay the increase. Now, some of us are saying there's already an increase. What are you talking about, more increase? Well, this was one of his targets. That's what I want to say. Targets when he was running for mayor, that he wanted to really address the rich when it comes to paying more taxes so that the middle class wouldn't have to. Well, here is one, and we haven't even reached the third month of the year. Oh my goodness. Well, the nurses are back. The nurses are back in the hospitals, all three hospitals here in New York City, but there's one that has a little stickiness going on. And, they did find out in New York Presbyterian hospitals that some of the information that they gave, the nurses gave, it was correct. So they have this thousands and thousands of dollars that they have. And prior to this, when they found that they had extra money, they gave the nurses 3 extra paid days in the past. Now, we hope that they don't go for this now. They really compensate and really address the issues that are at hand so that these ladies and gentlemen would not find a need to have to strike again. We really don't want them to have to end up doing that, do we? Not at all. Well, we got our main topic going on yesterday with the ladies, and we talked about some of the habits that the women have said we really hope you leave behind, ladies, in 2026. Well, one of the things was glorifying burnout. Are we going to, make it seem as though when we're running all over the place and we're doing all of this and all of that, that this looks wonderful. Well, no, because something that I thought of yesterday after we disconnected was heart disease and heart attacks are one of the main reasons why women are losing their lives these days. Yep, it's at the top of the list. So we don't want to glorify these burnouts, and now we killing ourselves, ladies. So come on, work smarter, not harder. Well, over explaining boundaries was another thing that was on the list. And I don't want to have to tell you over and over and over again why I can't do this or I can't do that, or no is no, and I have to stick to my guns. Why do I have to go through this over and over and over again? I need to be able to say what I mean and mean what I say and move on. That over explained in boundaries, that is just so old and played out. Well, one of the other things that they said they really wish we just stop doing and leave behind in 2025 is doom scrolling as a daily ritual. That just endless scrolling that's going on, just insenses. Oh my god, insensely. It is just ridiculous, even to the point where who said, a lady Tamika said she's looked over and people are scrolling behind the wheel. Well, we know they scroll while we're behind the wheel and we almost hit people at times, but I really hope you're not doom scrolling behind the wheel. Yo, we got more to do than just scrolling on our phones. Okay, so let's think of some of the things that we did prior to 2026 and just kind of leave it back there. Okay, all righty. Well, that's how we spent our Wednesday. Well, today is Therapeutic Thursday. Yes, the day we talk about our health. And if anybody knows how to get that done, the Due Time crew does. So let's get cracking. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, won't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Difference between self-love and self-worship. A lot of people think they love themselves, but what they really do is they worship themselves. Self-worship says, this is who I am, deal with it. And self-worship keeps you stuck because it's all about ego. I'm just like that. That's just how I am. Half of us are living out our traumas and we think that that's who we are. And because we worship ourselves, we don't change, we don't grow. Self-worship keeps you in stasis and forces everyone else around you to try to adjust if they want to stay in relationship with you. But self-love is willing to look at oneself and say, how can I grow? How can I be better? How can I be more loving to the people around me? Self-love is very powerful.
Good morning, and good, morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Therapeutic Thursday, the day we talk about our health. Well, we want to make sure that we say good morning to all of our loyal viewers out there, and we want to make sure that I know you're out there. So if you're out there, please just send me a shout out. Because other than that, I don't know you're there, okay? We got a shout out from our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got a shout out from our boy, Serge. Hey, Serge, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us. We want to make sure we say good morning to our ladies who hold it down in the background. Make sure we're up and running each and every day. And let's say good morning to our girl, Shantice. Hey, Shantice. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hopefully we'll see you behind the camera in a little while. And we want to say good morning to our girl, Anika. Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Ketty says it was a great PSA. Yes, good one again, Shantice. Thank you so much for you really are really pulling out the best things. Thank you. All right, so we got our health tip to a day to get our morning started. And we're talking about vitamin D this morning, often called the sunshine vitamin. And it plays a critical role in everything from bone strength to immune health and mood regulation. And despite how important it is, we just don't seem to be getting enough vitamin D. So therefore, a lot of us are walking in vitamin D deficiency, and it is really not uncommon. Well, sometimes people think that it's just about being outdoors, but that's not the only thing, okay? You have low vitamin D sometimes due to things like genetics, geography where you live, altitude, skin pigmentation, age, and all kinds of other things. So we want to help you with that vitamin D this morning. So we're talking about the things that show that our body is low in vitamin D, okay? Well, persistent fatigue and low energy. Yes. So are we tired even though, you've had that rest? Well, they say that might be a sign of low vitamin D. That nutrient is definitely essential for not just muscle function, cellular energy production, and our overall health, but definitely to, help us keep from being sluggish and weak or chronically tired. All right, we want to make sure that we get that vitamin D in, and if you're feeling persistent fatigue and low energy, that it just might be from that. What about frequent colds, some infections, and slow recovery? You find it hard to kind of bounce back, from when you're not feeling well. Yeah, well, that might be a sign if you're catching colds or the colds are lasting a little longer than usual. Then you want to definitely think about that vitamin D because it is crucial for our healthy immune system. And low levels can weaken our immune defenses, and it makes our body more susceptible to infections and inflammation. Alrighty. If we're experiencing anxiety and low mood or depression, mental health is also affected by our vitamin D levels. Yes, they say vitamin D is involved in the synthesis of neurotransmitters that regulate your mood. Low levels have been associated with increased rates of depression, seasonal affective disorder, and heightened anxiety. Yeah, these things are doing a lot more than we think, y'all. Weak bones, bone pain, or osteoporosis. Yes. Well, vitamin D is definitely essential for calcium absorption and bone remodeling. So without enough of it, our bones can become weak, brittle, and definitely painful. over time. And some doctors are highlighting that osteoporosis is a key red flag, especially for older adults, and bone pain and fractures can occur at any age when deficiency is severe. So it doesn't matter your age, any age, okay? Muscle aches is definitely one of the things that can be affected when your vitamin D level is low. So you've got those muscle weaknesses and those aches and pains. So they say vitamin D is essential for muscle function. Low levels may cause muscle soreness, cramps, or weakness, particularly in the legs and lower back. Gotta think about that. Some people mistake this for aging, overexertion, or poor posture, but it will definitely stem from nutrient deficiency in the vitamin D area. I gotta get some vitamin D in my system. Well, hair thinning and increased hair shedding. Yes. They say vitamin D plays an essential role in hair follicle recycling. Low levels have been linked to hair thinning and excessive shedding in some individuals, especially women. And while hair loss is a definite sign of vitamin D deficiency, we want to make sure you do some investigating, okay? So they say that because vitamin D deficiency can show up in little subtle ways long before there's a serious health issue, we need to develop our vitamin D levels checks. Get our checkups and make sure we are checking on all of these different things we just got finished talking about. And make sure when you go to the doctor, you mention that you're experiencing these things so that they can address it. Okay? All righty. Well, that was parched. I came across another another article that I thought was really interesting. And we went over this quite some time ago, but you know what? It's always worth reviewing. And they're talking about the mistakes we've made or we're making in the shower. So let's see what we got going on here. They're saying using the wrong products. Make sure you get your pens and papers out because you're just not remembering all of these things. When we use the wrong products in the shower, it can do, quite a few different things. The dermatologists are saying that many people are using chemicals and cleansers that are too harsh. Antibacterial and heavily fragranced soaps can often dry out your skin, cause irritation, and disrupt your skin's microbiome. So for those who have very sensitive skin or conditions like body acne or eczema, they recommend cleansers that contain ingredients that support and repair the skin barriers, okay? Such as oatmeal content, oatmeal cleansers and things like that, because it is much softer on the skin. And we should make sure shampoo is not used for body wash, okay? And they say don't use shampoo and conditioners that moisturize together. That's not good, especially for your skin, okay? Something else we're doing in the shower that may be harmful: washing with water that's way too hot. Okay? They say if you want a hot, steamy shower and that's your preferred thing, that's not a good thing. Okay. They say using water that's too hot strips the natural oils and can stress your cardiovascular system. Wow. Especially if you have underlying heart conditions. Woo. Okay. They say hot water can damage the skin barrier, increase dryness, and cause irritation. Get lukewarm water. That's more recommended for showering and bathing because it's gentler and better for maintaining skin hydration, everybody. Wow. So, in other words, if your bathroom is steaming, too hot for your skin. And remember, it's working its way to your heart. Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. They say you need to change your washcloths and loofahs on a consistent basis. They say when you leave your wet socks or soaking sponge lying around, they get gross and smelly. Well, so does your washcloths and loofahs. If you're using them for weeks, it becomes a breeding ground for bacteria. So, ooh, wow, I got to read this part. I was going to go over this. They say this is very concerning, especially for immunocompromised patients or those with diabetes, because you're prone to skin infections. Okay, so they say get rid of those loofahs or wash them much more often and replace them definitely before 3 to 4 weeks. And make sure you keep your washcloth changed constantly as well. Okay. Scrubbing too hard is on that list of things that we might be doing wrong in the shower, everybody. Okay, they say many people think that they need to kind of scrub their skin to get it clean, but this can most times damage the skin and can cause micro tears that increase infection risk. So they say gentle washing is just as effective and more safe. They say another thing we need to know, that some parts of our bodies don't actually need to be scrubbed even as hard as some other parts of your body. So they're saying your back, your arms, your legs, and your chest, you can clean gently, but you don't really need to scrub those as much. And make sure you're not scrubbing too hard no matter where you're washing. Okay. All right. They say, how do you wash your hair? Your hair might be washed wrong as well. They say that you don't need to wash your hair every day. They say based on your hair type, you wash your hair every day. They say that shampoo is for the scalp, not the hair. So it does not need to be washed every day. And make sure you use your conditioner, because that's for the hair and not the scalp. All righty. Showering at the wrong time. I hope they're not going to say what I think they're going to say. They say, should we shower in the morning or the night? They say that showering immediately after intense exercise is a common mistake. Your body temperature and heart rate need time to normalize. So jumping into the shower right after vigorous exercising, especially a cold one, can shock your cardiovascular system. Wow. They say so it's better that you wait 5 to 10 minutes before rinsing all that sweat off. All righty. Wow. I tell you, It is always something to learn. Always something to learn. They are also talking about the moisturizer you use. Alrighty. So they say moisturizer should be used within 3 minutes of showering to get rid of that dry skin. But choosing the best moisturizer is the key. They recommend thicker creams that come in a jar because they're excellent hydrators. Okay, so they say you should use moisturizers that have shea butter and glycerin because they're hydrating and not drying out your skin. Wow. Now, avoid alcohol, fragrance, or strong preservatives, especially if your skin is sensitive. Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right. So, what are we talking about in the news today? All right. Well, I got something for you, Long Island Railroad fare evaders. Well, I got to tell you, the first thing is, I don't think I really realized that the MTA was in charge of the Long Island Railroad. I thought it was different. I thought they were like a different entity. So the Long Island Railroad is definitely a part of MTA. And as a crackdown on fare beaters, they are changing the way you can use your ticket. So generally what would happen is if you got on the train and the conductor walked through the train, sometimes people would go in the bathroom or they would kind of duck and get around the conductor so he may not see you. There are other times, just honestly, that they don't see you. They really don't see you, and you end up not paying, and you could use your ticket like up to like 2 months. I remember that happening a couple of times to me. Well, because they say they have lost so many millions of dollars, $46 million total, not just in Long Island Railroad, but excuse me, $46 million in unpaid fares, period, that they are now changing the system. So if you use your, your ticket late, they're charging you $8. Yeah, there's going to be a fee. If you don't use it at all, you're not going to be able to use it. No. They say that people have held up the bathrooms, dodging the conductor. Yeah. They say under the new policy, unused tickets expire in a matter of hours, and tickets purchased on the app must be activated before the train leaves the station. And if you don't, that's when they're going to charge you that $8 penalty. So use it or lose it. So don't say you weren't warned. Right here on His Due Time with Pastor Steph. All right, I got some word on some of the activities that have gone on in this last week. And one of the activities was in Rhode Island earlier this week. They had a shooting where a man killed his ex-wife and his son. And they were at a youth hockey game at an ice rink in Rhode Island. And they were known to frequent these games. And these games were really, really popular. and where people would, be videotaping and, stuff like that on their phones. And they say out of nowhere, right in the middle of the game, 56-year-old Robert Dorgan took out his gun with absolutely no indication that there was something wrong. And he shot his ex wife and his son. They say right in front of hundreds of witnesses on Monday evening. And they have no idea. Why? Because he turned the gun on himself. Now, they're wondering if part of this was this issue of him also being known as Roberta Exposito. Oh my goodness gracious. They said that they did know he had some type of an anger problem because he was constantly fighting and getting into a lot of arguments with his co-workers. And they know that was like a habit. More recently, they would call him Roberta at work. So they knew of his, issue, but they don't know overall what happened. So they say that the, people were actually taping when the gunfire started. So they had to put out a word to all of those who were taping. Please do not post this. You do not have authority to post this. Please do not post it. So, and it wasn't like the people pulled it out after the gunfire. They said that this was known. And even they normally promote their own, they televise their own games. And unfortunately, it happened while they were filming. So they wanted to make sure they told everybody, please do not post. And hopefully that won't be out here on social media, which we know is somewhere, because that's what people do. Well, what about this Bay Plaza takeover by, they say, up to 300 kids on Monday? What is going on here? They say that they were out of control, trying to go into certain businesses. They broke out a window in McDonald's up in the Bronx. They say that this happened right before, let's say maybe around 5 o'clock. And they said this was spiraling out of control instantaneously, that someone called 911 and the police did show up. And they have like up to 18 kids, including one adult who was arrested. They had put the word out across social media that there was going to be this takeover and that they were headed to Yonkers and other places in Westchester. And they issued a swift warning. Let me tell you something. You don't want to go up there in no Yonkers, in the Westchester County with this nonsense. And you a whole bunch of black and brown people. I don't even know why they even did this in New York City. These kids, they take so many chances. Why in this climate would you want to be up against the cops? Why? You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know how they're going to respond. And you know what? Only by the grace of God, there was not a worse situation, because this really could have gone bad. It really could have gone much worse than it did. So, you know what? If you're a parent, you really need to talk to your kids. Make sure that they're not involved. I'm sure in these 300, they said up to 300 young people, if they are, why are you even made to arrest an adult? What are you doing? What are you doing if they had to arrest you? Well, I'm sure that, like I said, in all of these 300 kids, there were some decent parents up in there. In other words, these all didn't come from 300 bad homes, 200 bad homes. There were some decent parents up in there. And these parents work hard. They work hard to do what they need to do. Please, please, please. Remember, a while ago I was saying, stop putting yourself in the line of fire. Stop putting yourself in the line of fire. We always trying to figure out why do these things happen? Well, it happens because we doing stupid stuff. Prevention is better than cure. All right? Come on. Be smart. Be smart. This happened on the holiday and again across social media. And let me tell you something. Your children are hanging with the wrong crowd if they were a part of that nonsense. All righty? Oh boy. Talk about your health. I really wanted to go over this story. This was a viewer submitted story. A young lady. Oh boy. She's 22 years old. She picked up vaping 7 years ago, and she called herself doing something better than, smoking regular cigarettes. So she was only 15 when she took her first puff of an e-cigarette, and she continued to smoke over these past years. She said that there was a wide range of flavors, so that helped her enjoy. She eventually switched to reusable vapes to disposable ones, from reusable to disposable ones, going through an entire 600 puff device each week. Oh my gosh. Each week. So she said she noticed back in November that she had a rash all over her body, and the doctors said that she either had shingles, chickenpox, or scabies. Well, she got treated for all three, and she said nothing worked. It got to the point where she was cutting herself from scratching so hard. So by January of this year, she started coughing up brown, grainy mucus. She assumed that this brown sugar looking stuff came from the fact that she had been vaping, but she just brushed it off. She said that she went to her primary doctor, and they turned her away 8 times, telling her that she was suffering from just a simple chest infection. Well, she could ride that train up until she started coughing up a considerable amount of blood. They did an x-ray. They showed a shadow of her lung, on her lung, and they said because of her age, that they were 99% sure that it was not any level of cancer. So there was nothing to worry about. She said, but things turned. When the x-ray result came back and they found out that it was lung cancer, and she said that she couldn't believe it because she thought it wouldn't and couldn't be her. She said over 4 months, there were 7 biopsies, and they gave her a diagnosis of stage 1 cancer. But when they did some digging and they took out the lower lobe of her right lung and the surrounding lymph nodes, that they upped it to stage 3. And she's been in agonizing pain ever since. She says she can't sleep on the side where the surgery was. She can't go up and down stairs on her own. She needs a commode in her bathroom. She said that it's really taken a toll on her body, and not only on her body, but mentally. She says she doesn't go out with her friends anymore because she's so embarrassed that she can't even walk to the end of the road. She's having PTSD of being, in the house and waking up in the hospital bed and being told what she had, and the fact that she wasn't able to breathe and that she would have to walk again. And she is now telling everybody, now that she started chemo, a vigorous bout of chemo, she's telling everybody, please stay off the vapes. I don't know why we think that it can be our fallible bodies. I don't understand. When you're a kid, you're fearless and you're stupid. And adults are just as stupid. I've seen adults vaping. And I'm saying, you would give up the nicotine for artificial smoke? You don't think that's worse? Well, it's proven to be worse. Because there are a whole lot of people who were smoking at 15, and when they got to 21, they didn't have no cancer. Maybe they got cancer later on in life, but they shouldn't have cancer from the ages of 15. They started smoking until they were 21, 22 years old. And now our bodies are not our bodies that they used to be. And we really got to make sure we take care of ourselves, because this is really no joke. This is really no joke, y'all. This is really no joke. And I wanted to make sure I covered that story this morning, especially being that, we have our health we're talking about today. All righty. Where is my due time crew? All right. I have some comments up in here. Ketty says, so true. Metro North tickets, you can only use the day you purchase the ticket. After that, it expires. All right. And Serge agrees that he loves the PSAs. He loves the PSAs with right along with Miss Ketty. And we have an official check-in from Miss Grace. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Grace. All right. Where's our girl Shantice and Vivian? Let's say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good morning. Well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm well. Thank you. I'm well. We got a couple of things to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The Bay Plaza Mall was flooded with up to 300 young people on Monday, where they planned via social media this takeover. And they were trying to force their way into stores. And several people were talking about how they had to block their stores from being open, such as Sherwin-Williams. They tried to get their way into Five Below and quite a few other stores, but they could not get into those stores because of the quick thinking of the security. And, y'all ain't got nothing else to do. Why would you go up against the cops in this day and age? And I'm going to start with you, Shantice.
This was ignorance at its finest. I don't understand. Well, I do understand how you were able to get the word out, But this is what you plan to do the day off.
Right.
I don't remember having a day off of school and wanting to see the people I went to school with. I thought it was a day off. So now on the day off, I plan on being with 300 other people that I normally see while I'm supposed to be in school. And this is what we're doing. So I took a shower, I got dressed, I left my house to go do this. And one of the first things that came to mind too was they're going to start analyzing the time they give them off of school. And then watch and see how you feel when there's less days off of school. Because unfortunately, you've shown that when you get time off, y'all hit each other up on social media. And what was this? Was this a flyer? Did someone make a flyer and put this up? Or did one person DM one person and said, tell a friend, and there was just these DMs going around? I would really love to know how that process went. Because if there was just some flyer going around, okay, so where are the powers that be who are supposed to be monitoring what's going on social media? Again, I said we can't put a song up. If we put a song up, we can't hit the post button before we get hit with a copyright strike. But this was able to circulate to at least 150 people. Because if there was 300 kids, every kid didn't repost or DM someone. So if someone told a friend, at least 150 people has to have spoken about this on social media. This was ignorant.
Vivian, we've been talking about our young people quite often last year. And now this is what we've grown to.
And on Black History Month,
like,
why? I just don't understand. And I saw that they were trying to do it again at another location. And, they winded up finding the post and putting out a whole bunch of police officers to prevent it. It's like, why is this what we choose to do with our time? I don't understand it. Nothing productive. You're just out there terrorizing your neighborhoods just for the heck of it. It just does not make sense. And like you said, Pastor Steph, this is not the time. The leaders that we have in place right now, this is not the time to be experimenting with criminal activity on your time off from school. Because this can easily turn into something bigger than what you would have ever thought it could be. So it's not smart. It's not smart. And if you have children off of school right now, you need to seriously be on their tails. Find something for these kids to do where they're not at home by themselves. I don't care how old they are at this point.
It's true, because you got the 11, 12-year-olds and you got the 17, 18-year-olds. So, you can't say, well, they old enough. Yeah, they're old enough to get into all of this mischief. Where's our Pastor KL this morning? Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, ladies. How you ladies doing?
Well, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
Thank you.
I'm doing well as well, thank you.
All right. What do you say about?
I'm scared. I got my two nieces on here. I'm scared. Anytime I'm with them,
Yes, you and the millennials.
Right.
A minute. So you listen. We're from this area, this Bay Plaza area, and remember the Valley. We would dare to pull this stuff in the Valley. We would dare to pull this stuff in the Valley. But
you have to catch me up. You have to catch me up. I know the Valley. I know Baychester, all that stuff. I didn't hear the story, but I'm gonna agree with whatever the lady say, because they always right.
Well, over in Bay Plaza, that's co-op. That's over in co-op. Right. They had this takeover with over 300 young people on Monday, where they were trying to break in stores and take over the stores, and they broke McDonald's window, and they were actually headed to Westchester, up in Yonkers. Now, I don't know about other people, But I don't think the black and brown people want to be hanging out up in Westchester nowhere.
That wasn't went too well.
This nonsense. Okay. So what say you about our young people? This is their activity.
I think they're crazy. I think they're totally crazy. I think they wasn't raised right. I mean, there's one thing about peer pressure. There's another thing about stupidity. That's just stupid. I'm surprised that no one got hurt. I'm surprised that there's not a bunch of folks in jail. I'm surprised that the outcome is not worse than what it is.
Yeah.
Because they was on suicide watch. They put an X on their chest for suicide.
Sure did. You don't want to grapple with the cops these days. People have gotten shot for less. People have gotten killed for less.
Yep.
And you out here doing this kind of stuff up to, what did they say, 17, 18 people arrested. What'd you say?
I said they would have got shot in Yonkers.
What did you say, Pastor Kel?
I said they would have got shot in Yonkers.
Yeah, that's what I said. They would have. That's what I said. I don't think y'all was smart. Y'all weren't thinking you were headed to Yonkers, because they were like, y'all don't want to come up here. Know that we ready. That was the message that was sent out. You don't want to be up here. We're ready for you. And trust me when I tell you, they were ready for the black and the browns. Oh, they were ready. They were ready for the black and the browns. So you want to make sure, you talk to your kids. Like Vivian said, like Shanti said, you want to talk to your kids, because you want to remind them that this is not the time you want to be out here. And I agree, Viv, get them busy. I don't care how old they are. Get them busy, because this here, clearly you ain't got nothing else to do. And they always say an idle mind is the devil's playground. When you ain't got nothing to do, you gonna get involved with a bunch of stupid stuff. All right, I got a Dear Abby, and I would love to hear what you all have to say about this one. Speaking of our health on this Therapeutic Thursday, before we get to our main topic, I came across this and I was like, oh, goodness gracious. My husband and I have been together for 28 years. The last few years have been less than romantic, but we remain close and in love, or so I thought. A few days ago, he called me from work. I'm retired, crying so hard I could hardly understand him. I rushed to his office and he told me he had just learned from the doctor that he has AIDS. He then confessed that he'd had an affair with a contractor at his place of employment. He said it happened years ago when we were going through a rough patch, and swore it was the only time he had strayed. I am awaiting the results of my HIV test. Heartbroken and crushed. What now? I'm so hurt. I don't know if I should stay or go. I'm gonna start with you, Vivian.
Wow. So what does that mean? He was down low, the contractor? It was a guy?
Well, no, he wasn't down low. No, not based on this.
I mean, I would have to call it a quits. That's a lot. That's a lot. Not only did you cheat, but now this, and that's, nowadays it's probably not a death sentence, but that's a lot. This is not just no curable like STD. Like, this is a terminal, it could be a terminal thing. That's a lot. I would have to say go. All
righty. Shantice.
I was thinking about the vows. Right. It says, for rich or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I don't know if that meant if you get me sick like this, infidelity is one level of, well, I can't say levels of forgiveness because God doesn't have levels of forgiveness as much as we would love to think. So,
Wow.
This would really, it's so easy because at first when you put the question out there like, should I leave? I'm sitting here like, you don't, or you really put, the letter didn't end with, they sentenced me to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. But the Lord said no death penalty because he wants me to rot and suffer from my decision of killing him. And then it was like, Jesus, this is going to be one of those moments where you come and you like, hold it. I know. Think about things you've done. I don't know, that's just, it's enough to make you lose your mind. It's enough to make you have the ice rink situation, like you gave the story a little while ago, Pastor Steph. I don't know. As crazy as it sounds, I'm a little stuck. I'm stuck between the world. It's the cosmic. What was the lesson, Vivian? The cosmic conflict. Yeah, it's the cosmic conflict. I'm stuck between, do I go street or do I go Bible? Do I go ignorant or do I go God?
Oh my goodness!
I'm gonna have to kill myself. I can't face both deaths. I can't face death in natural and in the spiritual. But then see my luck, I'm gonna try to kill myself and God ain't gonna let it work. See, and then I'm gonna have to live with the attempt. I'm gonna have to live with it. I'm trying to blow my brains out, but now I live and all you can see are the brains. And see that's just my that's just Shanti's luck. So I don't know. Let me hear from the pastors. This is some trepidation.
Pastor KL, the ladies, you got one that says, listen, I'm out. The other one's like, how do you weigh in here? Ketty says bye.
I was good. I was good until Shanti started bringing, the vows. I ain't asked you for no vows. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to repeat me in no vows. Because the vow says, sickness and health for better or worse. I mean, you can't get no worse than this. You can't get no worse. But my problem with him and or her is that you cheated on me. And then you didn't even cheat responsibly.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You went out there all careless about it. Mm-hmm. So not only did you not care about cheating on me, you didn't care about what you brought home. Mm-hmm. So look, you gotta go.
Yep.
You gotta go.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. When I read this last night, I was like, because I thought about the vows too, if you will. And this would have to be a serious what does God say? Now. Not what does God say globally. What does God say like what about this right here, right now. And not what does God say globally, because that's where my head went, Pastor K. My head went, well, it's bad enough you cheated. But you had the nerve to cheat and you didn't even cover up. You didn't even take care of your business. So now you didn't care what happened to me. You really didn't care what happened to me. And now I'm sitting here biting. This is years now. You claim years ago, you claim years ago you had this affair. And so years, this I've been sleeping with you, and this was oh Jesus. This is a
Till
whole
death.
lot of stuff this a whole lot to swallow.
Till
Till
death.
death do us part. Does that mean I could kill you and get
That's
away
what
with
I'm
it?
saying.
That's what I'm
Till
saying.
death.
All these kind of things, go through your head. And God would really have to talk to Stephanie. This could not be, I would have to say, okay, you know what, God, you said I said for better or for worse, for richer, for poor, until death do us part. And here's the worst, and I'm not handling this very well.
Would this be like a Jacob? When Jacob said, "I wrestled with God."
this,
Jacob situation.
this is a lot to swallow. It's a lot to swallow, and when you're married, you just trust a person. You're just trusting that, and that's what they have said has been the greatest expediter of passing this disease, because men have taken this home to women, and God would have to talk to me personally, and I mean us sitting on the couch. I'm looking at him.
Right.
You said no one saw your face and lived, so let me see your face. Because somebody died.
Yeah, this would have to be an up close and personal conversation with the Lord. Lord, I'm sitting on the black couch. You can't be sitting on the brown couch. I'm sitting on the black couch. You sitting on the black couch, because the brown couch is too far. I need to be sitting right next to you, right here, because this is way too much for me to kind of. I need to hear directly from you. It's funny because I was trying to look for a topic last night, and little did I know until we had this conversation that it would step on this particular topic. We're talking about qualities of a good steward, and this is one of the things that we're talking about. Being a good steward over another person's life, over your marriage. And clearly you were not a good steward over this area of your life. And let's talk about some of this stuff here. What it means to be a good steward. And they say good stewards recognize their role and responsibility. Shantice.
Recognize their role and responsibility. A good steward understands that you're a steward. Understands that you're actually responsible for things. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls, especially of our generation, is no one wants to be responsible for everything. Everyone wants. I want this. I want that. I want to be sitting on top. I want to be a boss. I want to be. But no one wants the responsibilities. Like having a friend requires responsibility on your end. Like you do know that, right? You want to be a friend. You want to be a boyfriend or girlfriend. You want to be a husband or a wife. Everyone always thinks about the responsibilities that other people have in regards to you, but no one thinks about the responsibilities that they're supposed to have. I think it starts with understanding that I'm responsible for something and someone. And once I'm able to, in a mature manner, wrap my head around the fact that I'm responsible for these things and all these people, then it automatically puts me in the position to be taught, to be teachable, so that I can learn how to steward that specific thing and that specific person, because we get the overall standard of a steward, and then God will personally tell you how to now govern and take the lead on that person, place, or thing specifically.
All righty, Viv. A good steward recognizes their role and responsibility.
Yes, yes. I think that helps you to do the right thing when you recognize what you're responsible for. When I realize that God owns it all, now it leaves me to understand that I'm taking care of somebody else's money, somebody else's child, somebody else's whatever it is. And it opens my eyes to be like, okay, this doesn't this is bigger than me. So now I have to move differently. So it helps you to wake up pretty much. And if you don't understand your responsibility and your role in something, then you kind of brush it off. So understanding your role and responsibility and stewardship helps you to wake up.
Okay. You just stepped all over the next point, Vivian.
I'm so
Pastor
sorry.
KL. It's all right. It's all right. You're doing what the men do. You're being disobedient.
Watch your
Only
mouth
they,
now. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch
only
your mouth.
they do that. Pastor KL, they recognize their role and responsibility. That's a good steward.
You ever seen a man come out of jail who thinks he's educated and he
Yeah.
starts saying some words and he really don't know what the words mean? It's all out of context and all out of stuff. And you're like, what you talking about? You got men who want to be the head of the household, but don't realize they have to be the provider and or the protector. They just want to be the head of the household. They take the one word and they run with it, not understanding what the head of the household means. So again, a good steward is you have to be able to define the things that you want. And you have to be able to define the things that you say that you are. If you are the head of the household, what does that mean? And how do you run with it?
All righty. All righty. They say that a good steward is discerning. Ooh. Vivian, I'm going to start with you.
Yes, I agree with that one too. I think that if you don't have proper discernment, then can you even like take your responsibilities serious? Can you do a good job? Like if you think about stewardship, like specifically, pick something specific. You got to know when's the right time to move, when's the right time to stop, when's the right time to spin. So it definitely takes that discernment. And that discernment is tied to God, of course. You don't have proper discernment unless you have a relationship with God. So in order for you to be a good steward, you need first that relationship with God in order to have proper discernment.
All righty. All righty. Pastor KL.
All right. Yes, I what Vivian said, that was good. I like that. But what you have to have, listen, you have to check the atmosphere. The atmosphere is part of having good discernment. What I mean? You can't just say some stuff and mama just died, but now you want to say something crazy. It has to be at the right time. It has to be the right words. It's all in the delivery as well. Saying so you have to have all of this stuff. And as Vivian said, you have to be tied into God. When you have discernment, God will give you what to say, when to say it, and how to say it.
How to say it. All right. Shantice, good stewards are discerning.
Yes, you take the time to let God show you how you should look at something. Let God show you how you should feel about it. Let God show you, not being so compulsive, not just, that don't look right. That don't. And to the natural eye, it doesn't. But how is God telling you to address this? How is God showing you to perceive this? And again, that goes along with when He guides you on that personalized stewardship as well. Like, okay, this is how, in general, you take care of your home. This is how I need you to take care of this home. But if you're not paying attention to how God is teaching you, now your discernment, your perception on the home that God has given you, because you're so busy looking to your left and looking at how your neighbor is taking care of their home, It doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong, but that's not how God has for you to do it. So you have to allow God to give you that perception so that you can understand how you're supposed to steward what he's giving you or who he's giving you.
I like this one here. Good stewards are trustworthy. Pastor KL.
Definitely. I should be able to trust you with anything, if you're a good steward. Because again, we already identify all the stuff. You understand what it means to be a good steward. You already know that I can discern certain things, and I have the ability to speak in turn and not out of turn. And then, if I have a friend, my friend can come to me with anything. My friend can trust me with anything. He can tell me about anything, and it won't be on the pulpit on Sunday, if you will, or it won't be on a conversation with someone else, if you will. I can trust you pretty much with my life.
All right. Shantice, it's trustworthy. Stewards are trustworthy.
Yes, that's actually something I've been praying to God about. I want God to be able to look down on me and say, you know what? I can give this to you, and we know God isn't going to walk off. But I don't have to always govern you in the sense of nitpick with you, because I know that I can give this person to you, give this thing to you, put you in this setting, and you're going to do exactly what I've already instructed you to do, or you're going to trust me to give you that step by step if I choose to hold off to give you that step by step. If God cannot entrust you with the people, places, and things, then your responsibilities get cut short. Your responsibilities get cut short. Now you're in a bad standing with God, because we're all here to be held responsible for something, especially something. How do we know that? Because we're supposed to be making disciples in Jesus' name, which means we have to be entrusted with the word. We have to be entrusted to speak to people. We have to be entrusted to have that discernment to know that I can't minister to you the way Lord, I've been reporting Lord about this one person. Okay, God, you don't have to tell me how to talk to this person, because obviously there's a different level of specialty that's going on here. So if he can't trust you with that, then you're interfering with the work he wants to give you, interfering with his work, and now you have to pay for that. So you have to make sure that you're deemed trustworthy in God's eyes.
All righty. Trustworthy, Vivian.
Yes, dude, we don't even have a choice. We don't even have a choice. I think of like when in our church, when an opportunity comes up and it's like, who wants to? It's like, why are you even asking? Why are you even asking? We don't have a choice whether or not if God is giving you stewardship over something, then he deems that you are capable. That means that it's time for you to step up and do what he already knows that you can do. So you don't have a choice whether or not you're going to be trustworthy. Now, if you fail, that's only interfering with your peace. So dang, that's that's a heavy one for me, at least. That's a heavy one. Like, God is watching, so you can't really move to the left or the right without, you have to be trustworthy in what he's giving you.
Okay.
Hey, Pastor Steph.
Yes.
Just on that term, one of the biggest examples of trustworthy in the Bible was when God says, "Have you considered my servant Job?" I mean, because he knew that Job wouldn't do anything wrong. That he trusted who Job was. When God begins to put that, have you considered Shantice? Have you considered Vivian? Have you considered Steph? When God puts that in you, then you know you're doing a good work.
Yeah. And it's funny because that's what I was thinking when Vivian was talking. My thing was, you know what? Some people run. And it's like, why are you running when God has already, Shantice and I talk about that, when we start going through stuff here in the house, Be like, Lord, I hope you ain't taught you ain't said have you considered Stephanie. Because because that forces you. It's like what Vivian said, it forces you to step up. Because see now, I can't make God no liar. Now he didn't put it out there that Stephanie is gonna do right. And it's like, oh shucks, I gotta do right now. So by any means necessary, I'm gonna have to be trustworthy. I'm gonna have to walk that out. It has to manifest itself through me because God has already called my name. He's already seen to it that he gonna point me out.
Right.
It's like, dang. But you know what? I agree with you. It's a great honor because that means that he's taken the time to instill enough in me that he knows me and he knows what I'm capable of and he trusts me. Because he ain't putting me out there for me to fail. It's almost like, you have I have 3 girls and I'm like, okay, who am I going to, put out there to get this job done? I know who I'm going to put out there to get this job done. Am I going to put so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so? So God is not putting you up in the front for you to embarrass him.
Right.
So, this is, like you said, Viv, it's time to step up your game. And like you said, Pastor KL, this is time for you to, take that as an honor and say, you know what, God he's really expecting me. And you know what? I got to do it because he's invested in me. He's really, really taking that time. All right. I like this one too. Good stewards are diligent. Diligent. Shantice.
Good stewards are diligent. Let me make sure I got the proper definition. I feel like I'm getting that mixed up with another one.
Read it out loud because I need to know too.
Having or showing care and consciousness in one's work or duties. Okay, so yes. Making sure you're real particular about how you're handling what God has given you. Again, that's going back to one of the things I've learned to pray for. One of the things that the Holy Spirit has given me to pray for is, God, help me to stay in full collaboration with you so that I do things how you say, when you say, for the reason you say. Like, I need you to check my motives because, God, I can't do it just to do it. I ain't going to want to do it. It's going to show like in front. And now I'm just like, God, I ain't doing this. Why am I going to waste your time and act like it? I don't want to do this. But when you're real particular, it shows that you're taking the time to care about what God is giving you. You're taking the time to, like you just said, Pastor Steph, God knows, a lot of times he calls us and we're saying, I ain't ready for that, or I don't want to be ready for that. I don't want you to think that highly of me, Jesus. Because now that means I can't cuss people out when I want to. That means I got to show up and show out in your name when I'd rather close the door on people. I don't want to be there. But when you show that you're particular about it, you show that even when you feel those ways, you're willing to deny how you feel and take on how Jesus feels about that person, place, or thing he's entrusted. Even when it's yourself, Lord, when it's yourself. Lord, when it's yourself. Even when it's yourself. And it's like, I can't run from me. So teach me how to be here for me. And now with you teaching me how to be here for me in your name, now I'm making sure that it's done the way you say it needs to be done. For the reason why, because you're teaching me to be strategic, and it goes back to when God says he does things in decency and order. He doesn't just do things just to do things. He cares about how they're being done. And then you'll realize you care about how you're doing things and how you're taking care of things.
All righty. Diligence. That's what God is looking for in a good steward. Vivian.
Yeah, you can't be a good steward without it, because if you don't care about what God has given you, what God has given you stewardship over, then you're not gonna put your best in. You're not gonna give it your all. And I don't know who it was, but I remember we read the story of the person Like every step he made, he went back to God. Like, am I supposed to do this? Am I doing this right? And that's how we need to be in order to be diligent properly. So if God has given you stewardship over a relationship, before you do something outside of his will, you need to make sure that you're going to him and asking, you want me to say this? Do you want me to do this? Should I call now? And that's the only way that you're going to be diligent over everything that God has given you. You got to stay at his foot. And you can't be a good steward unless you're doing that, unless you have that diligence in your relationship with God.
All righty. Pastor KL.
But you have, in being diligent, you have to know what you're being diligent over. One of the hardest transitions I had with moving to Alabama is that, I'm from New York. In New York, we're very blunt. We're very outspoken. And people in Alabama is not like that. And they're easily offended just by the tone of your voice. And they would be mad at stuff that I said. And I'd be like, well, what did I say? So sometimes you have to learn the people that you're being diligent for. You know what I mean? So they're not easily offended, and that you don't stray them away from God. A lot of times your tone and your presence and stuff like that will kind of move people or shift people a certain way simply because they didn't understand the approach. But who God calls, he qualifies. And who he qualifies, he justifies. So you have to understand that you're qualified in doing this, but there's things that you have to do in order for it to work.
All righty. Proactive. Another one I like. Good stewards are proactive, Vivian.
Yeah. Because you can't continuously wait for something bad to happen to want to fix it. You got to kind of see the possibilities before they get there and put proper things in place so that the bad things don't come. So if you're not proactive and you're always reactive and you're always behind the 8 ball, as Pastor Steph would say, so you have to make sure that that you're always like got your head on a swivel. You're always thinking and preparing for what's gonna come, so that you're not stuck when it does get there and you don't know what to do. And then whatever you have stewardship over is now falling to pieces because you haven't considered those things.
All right, Pastor KL. Good stewards are proactive.
Yeah, I mean, I just echo what Vivian says. A lot of times with us is, if you will, we're more reactive than proactive. We wait, and then now we're chasing our tail, trying to figure out the solution to the problem. And again, I go back to the pockets full of red flags. You've seen the red flags, so you knew there was going to be a problem. But you don't act until the problem arises. And a lot of times that's the dangerous part, because even in your reaction, sometimes the solution is not the best solution. You're just reacting and you're just trying to put out the fire. You know what I mean? So if you're proactive, you know to have the fire extinguisher nearby. You know to have a certain thing nearby. You know not to keep certain things near the stove. Stop waiting until you put too much grease in the frying pan and now it's dripping all over the place. And now you want to try to figure out, how do I put out grease?
All right, Shantice. Good stewards are proactive.
Yes, we stay in touch with the Lord. So as it was said, we see things coming. And while we see things coming and we act surprised, let me tell you why we act surprised, because we want there to be a problem. I want there to be a problem so that I can say what I've been wanting to say. So now I feel justified in acting and saying how and what I've been acting and wanting to say. And again, it goes back to discernment. When God gives you that foresight, he lets you know, listen, everything might seem a little calm now, but you're about to hit that roadblock. And I know for me, what God had to hone me down from was speaking too soon. I would see it coming. I see that train coming. We both standing on the tracks. I see the train coming. And I'm like, yo, we need to get up off these tracks. The train gonna come. I see it. You bugging, the train ain't come through here in years. I'm telling you, I see it. Yeah, okay, fine. I step off and now you get hit and I was, yo, cool. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So again, staying in touch with God so that, yes, he gives you the foresight, but he also gives you the foresight on how you should respond to what he's allowing you to see before it even happens.
All righty. Oh,
Build the ark.
I'm sorry?
Build the ark. Why don't build the ark?
Build the ark.
It ain't gonna rain. Build the ark. Just keep building.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got to check in from Miss Herlima. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Herlima. We're talking about the qualities of a good steward. We have a good steward is faithful. Pastor KL.
I didn't hear what you said. A good student what?
Faithful.
Yeah. Well, as we just seen with the other story of the man getting AIDS, he wasn't very faithful. He wasn't faithful at all. You know, faith. It's hard being faithful for some folks. It really, really is. It's hard being faithful, and faithful is very, very, very important. You know, if you can't be faithful, you might as well leave that position. If you can't be faithful, you might as well leave the job. If you can't be faithful, leave the relationship, because you've already been built on a lie. If you're not faithful, you've already been built on a lie. Anything built on a lie can't stand. So faithful is definitely an important part.
Okay. Shantice, a good steward is faithful.
Yes, I actually just mentioned that in a prayer that I said yesterday, and I believe it's in Ezekiel chapter 16, and I'll never forget when I read it initially. I was trying to look for the verse, but God said to them, you are the worst kind of whore, because the typical whore gets paid for what she does. Mm-hmm. You doing all of this on me and you ain't even getting paid. You paying them. Not only are you not getting paid, you're paying them to whore around on me with them. And that's what we end up doing. We end up giving other people, places, and things the blessings and the treasures that God has given us, just so we can have those 5 seconds of feel good. And God is like, well, what you do? You're not even doing that right. See, we can't even whore around the right way. You know what? This is why we got to be trusted. Because even when we try to do things against God, we still don't even know how to do it. So you have to make sure that you're being faithful. When you understand what faithful means, that loyalty, that even when, God, I don't want to show up for you. And sometimes it's no shade to you. I don't want to show up for myself, but then it is shade to you, because now I'm giving up on you investing in me if I don't want to show up for me. So now what am I doing with that time? If I'm supposed to be giving you that time, am I pulling the covers over my head? Am I watching something I ain't got no business watching, listening to something I ain't got no business listening to, so on and so forth? So you have to make sure that you're staying true to God so that he can teach you what it really means to have that next level of faithfulness, because faithfulness on level 1 is not the same as being faithful. And like Pastor KL brought up, even with the story, think about like when you're in a regular relationship, or we boyfriend and girlfriend. Oh, I was able to be faithful with that. That's fine. The second we get married, now I just feel all this tension and it's a hostile situation. Like, I don't know about this, or like, this is different, because now I'm realizing I can never kiss nobody else. I can never be intimate with anyone else. I can never do this. But I was fine as a girlfriend. But now that I'm a wife, I'm having a problem with staying true to you. That's an issue.
All right, Viv. Faithful. What are we talking about here?
You need that. You need that, like Shanti said, because like everybody said, because when things start getting hard, when God gives you stewardship over stuff, over people, especially over people, it's going to get difficult. And in those times when you don't want to answer your phone, and those times when you don't want to talk, and those times when you don't want to do, if you have that faithful relationship with God, it'll push you to do the right thing. It'll push you to be a good steward over this person, over this place, over this thing. So you just cannot be a disloyal and have a godly stewardship over something.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, and finally, a good steward is prayerful. Shantice.
Again, being in constant collaboration with God, there's no better way to do that than to have those intentional one-on-one conversations with the Lord, where you're able to open up and respectfully share your feelings with Him, share your requests, ask Him to correct or confirm your heart, your desires, and ask Him to genuinely put you in the position where you are content with fulfilling His will for your life and for your day. You cannot properly manage something without being in connection with God, because even the ungodly people, the non-believers, the people who ain't paying God no mind, they would not be 2% good at what they're doing without God. And the issue with them is they feel like they're really successful because they have all of these tangible things. And now because they have that, they don't feel like they need God. But then when everything comes crumbling down and they're sitting there like, well, what happened? It's because you were not in constant communication with the source. You're giving the accolades, celebrating with the wrong one, giving the accolades to the other entity. And the other entity don't care nothing about you. So when He decides that now is going to be the time where I'm going to crush you, who you running to for help? You can't go back to Him for help. You're going to have to go to the one who gave you the 1% that you were so high and mighty with. So you have to stay in and really learn what prayer is. And Pastor Steph always highlights, it's not tying your shoelace while you walking out the door and you're like, oh, what's up, God? Okay, please bless me, travel mercies, and that's it. No, that real intentional one-on-one time with God. And that's what a lot of people are lacking. And if a lot of people understood what that means and how much that's required, there wouldn't be so much buffoonery going on out here.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. Vivian, a good steward is prayerful.
Yes, you can't have any of the other things that was listed in this if you're not prayerful. You can't have discernment. You won't be trustworthy. You won't have any of the things that you need to be a good, godly steward if you're not staying in constant conversation with God. When those hard times come, when you want to spend improperly, when you want to cut somebody out, when you want to walk away, the only thing that's going to keep you where you need to be is prayer. And like Shanti said, proper prayer. It has to be a conversation. Give God time to talk back to you, not just a venting situation on your knees where you just going off about all the things that displeases you and this stewardship, but allow Him an opportunity to talk back. So yes, it's the only way you're going to be able to be a good steward over the things that God has given you.
All righty. Amen, amen, and amen. Pastor K, how we closing up out of this thing?
I want to tell you a short illustration. So most folks know that growing up, I hated my father. Hated him with a passion. Lived in the same house, hated with a passion. But anytime I wanted to do something, I go to my sister and I say, hey, Lisa, ask Pop, can we go outside? And the reason why I would do that is because I knew that Lisa had a relationship with the father, but I did not. So he would say yes to her before he said yes to me. Now, going to this side, you have to have a relationship with the father. And the only way to have a relationship with the father is through prayer. And it has to be a true relationship with the Father. Why? Because it says every time I try to do good, evil is always present. So you got to be prayed up. Every time you go through something, you got to be able to go to the Father. Even David, when he went back to Ziklag and they wanted to kill him, he went back to the Father and said, "Hey, what should I do?" Even though he knew he wasn't wrong in anything, they were just saying he did something. A lot of times we face things, but if you have a relationship with the Father through prayer, He'll bring you out of it all. But you have to have a relationship. And as the ladies have quoted, Steph, that you have to have a pure heart and a pure conversation with God. Not just tying your shoes. Hey, I'm leaving, God. Watch me until I come back. No, you have to be able to talk like you talking to Johnny, like you talking to Sarah. God, this is what I'm going through. How can I come out of this? God, this is what I desire. Is this the will? Is this your will? And if he says it's not his will, you got to be okay with that. And then have another conversation, but why, Lord? And then let him explain to you, let him show you why this is not what you need to do and why these steps you need to go forward in. All through prayer.
Amen. 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 And amen. Thank you so much, my Due Time crew, for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. It was great having you on this week, Vivian. Thank you.
Great, Vivian.
Thank you.
All righty. Stewardship. All week we've been talking about, are you doing what you should be doing? We had a very grim story that was sent out to Abby for advice. The husband cheated and brought home AIDS, and frantic when they called to make that announcement. And now this person wants to know if they should stay or go. And it all comes back to that stewardship question. Was that husband a good stewardship over that marriage? And it just brings us to, are we a good steward over anything and everything? As Vivian said, and I kind of bypassed it because she said it, God owns it all. Everything we have, anything we have, God owns it all. We don't own anything. He lends us everything. When we were created, he said we should have dominion over this earth. That means everything. What do we do with it when we get it? Are we faithful? Are we trustworthy? Are we diligent? Are we prayerful? Are we responsible? All of these things matter. We cannot get around being responsible, being trustworthy, being faithful. We cannot get around any of it. God is relying on us to do it all. We talked about one of the things, I'm trying to think of which one we were talking about, and it came up, well, you know what? It's too much. That's a lot of responsibility. It's a bucket we're sitting in. When we are a steward, all of these things come into play. Every last one of them. We don't get to pick and choose whether we're responsible. We don't get to pick and choose whether we're trustworthy. We don't get to pick and choose whether we should be diligent or not. The bottom line is that comes with the territory. We ask for these things. So let's use this example that we had here. He asked to be married. You took and you made the vows. For better, for worse, rich for poor, sickness and in health. You took the vows. So you were pretty much saying, this is what I plan to do. I plan to be faithful. I plan to be trustworthy. I plan to be diligent. I plan to be prayerful. I plan to understand that I have, a role and a responsibility here. I got to do it all. I can't be responsible on Monday, but only diligent on Tuesday, only trustworthy on Wednesday. No, this is a part of who you are and what you do once you accept the role. And when when God hands you something, you really don't have the ability to say no. You really don't have the ability to say no. I've been asked to speak, and at whatever, at Women's Day or somebody's service or whatever. And years ago I used to hear, I gotta pray on that. What are you talking about? You call yourself a minister, and when someone asks you to speak, you don't know right then and there. You need to have that discernment. If you were in prayer my thing is, what have you been praying about all along? What have you been praying about all along? That when someone asks you to speak at this service, you gotta go back and pray. Your discernment, your connection with God should already be this. Listen, let me ask you a couple of questions. That's not for me. Or absolutely. And I've had people say, oh, you answered right away. You said yes right away. Well, because I don't have the right to say no when I know that this is God's will. It's different if you didn't say something to me that's erroneous. Because before I say yes, you've given me enough information for me to be able to answer. And my answer is yes. I'm not going to say no when I should say yes. God has given me this responsibility. Now I have to be a good steward over it. I have to be diligent. I have to be respectful. I have to be respectful of the topic. I've got to be respectful of the amount of time that I'm given. I've got to be respectful to get there on time. I've got to be trustworthy that I am going to carry out this assignment the way God has given it to me. Because it's not man that's given it to you. Man is just the messenger. But it's God who is making the request. You cannot understand God and not understand all of this. That's part of being a good steward. That's why you have to stay prayerful. Because if you don't, you're not going to connect properly. You're not going to answer God properly. You're not going to know how to respond properly. You're not going to know, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. You have all these people who love to preach. You say you preach for 10 minutes. They up there for 30. That's not being a good steward. That's a lack of respect. You can't contain what you need to say in the amount of time. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes you go over. Okay, that's understandable. But a whole 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, what is that? That's not being a good steward. See, we don't pay attention to these things. But we're preaching for a half hour. What you saying now? Your assignment, pay attention. Your assignment was for 10 minutes. You were given the topic, but you talked for 30. Who are you preaching to? How are you preaching when you done just broke every rule there was? How does that even work? We don't pay attention. See, God gives us these things, and we must be good stewards over them. All of these things we talked about today falls right into every single thing we're a steward over. We can't be a good steward when we can't even preach and be respectful of the amount of time or the topic or understanding the room where you are. That's part of the assignment. You can't say what you want to say I've been in arenas and people have been speaking and they say things that are so offensive in that room to races and nationalities, genders. We're not talking about the truth. We're not talking about the truth, and the truth is kind of stepping on a toe or two. We're talking about straight out. No, I can't believe they just said that. But you preaching everything as a parent. We talked about the children who were a part of the takeover in the Bronx on Monday. How many of those parents were negligent in ensuring that their kids had something to do, knowing where the kids were, reprimanding those who were a part of the takeover? That's being a good steward as well. Because I may not have known that that was your plan, but when I found out that you were a part of that plan, because see, me as a parent, when I hear that there are 300 kids, I know how I raised mine. But guess what's gonna happen when I hear that them 300 kids was over in Bay Plaza? Where you at? Where were you? You weren't out there, were you? Not because I think you were, just because I'm gonna do my due diligence to make sure that mine were clear of this participation. Now, I'm praying that they weren't because I raised you better, but when did that ever stop anybody? We've all done stuff that our parents weren't happy of. I don't care who you are. All of us have done things that we were not raised to do. That when our parent heard, they were like, what? Yeah. I don't care how small, I don't care how big. That's part of being a good steward. God is challenging us to be a good steward over everything. Why? Because he owns everything. And if he entrusts us to it, we have to end up being trustworthy. We have to ultimately be trustworthy. In order to be trustworthy, you've got to be faithful. You've got to be diligent. You've got to be, know the role and the responsibility. How can you take on stewardship and you don't even understand what you're supposed to be doing? How many times have people say, yeah, I'm going to do such a thing, and then they like, I don't know what I was supposed to do. What do you mean you know what you're supposed to do? If it wasn't explained, then it was your responsibility to ask. Because I'm not going to let you walk off thinking that you were supposed to do something that you weren't quite aware of. And I'm not going to walk off with you leaving me something to do that I don't really understand what I'm supposed to be doing. All of that is part of being a good steward. Every little thing matters. We fail God in so many ways. Be on top of your game. Be on top of your game. You can't micromanage things if you don't understand what is supposed to be done. Somebody should not have to micromanage you. Because once you accept the assignment, then you're saying, thank you, I'll do it. And I'm going to be mindful of all the things that it takes. Once the assignment has been given to you and you're accepting this assignment, especially if you're accepting the assignment, then you are a steward over it. I don't care what it is, whether it's your clothes, whether it's your shoes, your home, your job, your child, somebody you're babysitting, a car, it doesn't matter. The workspace that you've been given, you're a steward over that workspace. You're obligated to keep it safe from anybody who enters into your space. That's being a steward over it. You're responsible for making sure that you don't leave it all dirty and nasty. So now roaches and mice and all kind of bugs are not there. That's being a good steward. Everything. Are we doing what we're supposed to do? That's been the question of the week. So let's make sure that everything we do, we're paying attention to every single detail of those things. I know that my congregation believes I'm hard on them. I know that. I am. I am. I'm hard on myself. I'm hard on myself. They may not even see it. They may see it, but I'm hard on me. Why? Because I understand to much is given, much is required. And I understand that when God gives, we may not feel we're ready, but we have to trust God. God's not bringing this to you unworthily. He's bringing it to you because he should be able to trust you with it. To him, he should be able to trust you with it. Because you feel it didn't popped up out of nowhere, or because you feel like, oh, well, I got to, this is at level 10 and I'm only at a level 2. If we relied on us, then we would never go anywhere. We have to rely on the strength of God to do what we need to do. So we may think we're at a level 10, but guess what? No, we're not at a level 10. We're at a level 15. And we have to understand that God is expecting level 15-ish stuff while we are in it. We can't offer 5%. 99% just won't do. If he's given it to us, then we're responsible for doing it at 100%. Now, whether our 100% gets the job done or not is something different. But he needs to know that you have put absolutely everything out there. I'm hard on them because I see a lot of just like it is falling short. I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's get this done. Y'all want jobs, y'all want families, y'all want marriages, y'all want children, y'all want this, y'all want that. When God asks you to do something, let's get on that thing. Let's get on that thing. Because you know what? God does so much for us, much more than we could even imagine. We are only aware of part of what God does for us. We have no idea ultimately what God has done or what God is doing or what God will do for us. But what are we prepared to do? Every time God asks us to do something that we don't remember, we keep forgetting. Oh, we ain't ready. Oh, he asked too soon. Oh, this, oh, that. No, let's get on the ball. God has done so much for us. We can never, ever match God's giving. But it should not be that we're not stepping up to that plate 100%. Let's get this done. Let's make sure. If you're a procrastinator, why? If you're a liar and you can't be trusted, why? If you're not diligent, why? If you're not faithful, why? You have to find out and figure out why you're not making it to these things. Why you're not making it to these things. Make sure you're doing exactly what God wants you to do. Sometimes you're not doing it to the degree that he wants you to do it. Sometimes we're overdoing it. But let God give it to you. And always go back and check with God. That's what prayer is about. God, I'm before you and I'm making sure. There's somebody who every time I close out, I see it when I'm closing out. They say, pray for some situation. And every time it's the same blurb. Same blurb. Pray for my toe. Pray for my toe. Pray for my toe. Well, we need some gradation on that request. We need some gradation on that prayer request. Because we serve a God who just continues to do. We may come to him on Monday with something, but we got to see that God is moving. So the next time I come back for that prayer request, I see that the toe has gotten a little better, or I found a doctor who's going to deal with that toe, or God has helped me pay for that doctor to deal with this toe. So thank God that, I did some research. I found a doctor. Thank you. Let's pray and thank God for the doctor who's going to address this toe. Thank God, because I found a doctor, but I found out that it was $100. And I didn't realize that let's pray that God helps me. You follow what I'm saying? It has to be some gradation. But that's the same thing with stewardship. You can't stay at the same level. It has to grow. It has to grow, and it has to grow. Nothing stays on the same level or decreases unless you do. So if you stay diligent, that means you're chasing behind that thing. That means you're working hard at that thing. That means you won't give up and you won't stop. That's the way you need to be in your stewardship across the board. And God will definitely honor that. Before you leave, I just need you to know that we will not be on tomorrow. We will be on Monday. God spares. There's some things that must be taken care of, and we will not be on tomorrow. Thank you so much for your diligence and commitment during the week. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to anyone. Until Monday, God spares. Well, we'll be shaking the Monday morning blues all over again. Until then, I love you and have a great weekend.